What cult is the most disturbing to you? Having grown up a Jehovah's Witness, where the meetings are fairly bland affairs, I was so weirded out the first time I attended a Catholic service. Me iconography all over the place to the endless recitation of the same prayer while playing with beads. I have never felt so much like I was dropped into the middle of some primitive tribal ceremony. Kinda gave me a bit of insight into the use of guilt to maintain membership though. In case someone is interested in reading a book of investigative journalist B. Schofield about exposing cults, I recommend Hunting Lucifer by B. Schofield. There is a book with the same title by another author. It touches on the spiritual aspect of life, so avoid if you don't like that topic. Book show 63,119,781 Hunting Lucifer. From Search True from SRP True Kid USOO POBFWOD Rank 1. Perhaps there are worse cults than Jim Jones People's Temple, but the mass suicide happened when I was 10. And we had cable and newspaper subscriptions for the first time. It really had an impact on me. For the first time I understood that there was something nuts about the world and adults didn't really have their ball of wax together after all. Cults that prefer followers die in pain rather than getting simple treatment. Jehovah's Witness with blood transfusion, Scientology with psychiatry, or Christian Science with nearly all medical treatment. No matter how you think about Islam or Judaism, they at least let followers break rules to save their life. The People's Temple by far is the freakiest to me. Their leader was suffering dementia or strokes and became more and more irrational to the point he convinced everyone to kill themselves. No strokes, drug abuse. My mistake, I got him mixed up with a totally different true crime case. I recently learned about the killing occult. I think its official name is different. Not a lot of information out there and it was relatively small, but the story about the Messiah killing his mom, then his sisters lining up to wait for their turn to be killed. That's wild. These QAnon fuckers are pretty goddamn gullible. I mean, your average mogger is pretty much a sucker and an idiot, but most of them don't think the world is flat yet. Okay. Both sects of right-wing culty bullshit are bad and are feeding off each other like cannibalistic zombie rats. Was looking for local music groups on Meetup and found an interesting one. Made for young adults 2040 and meant to have friends and work on social skills. Thank God I scrolled all the way to the bottom because it said the event was supported by the Church of Scientology. The mugger cult because it can literally dissolve hundreds of years of achieved democracy and hinder the Constitution and subsequently my life directly. Mugger wants things and people to live one way. People are diverse and have their own likes and dislikes and preferences. There is a great series on Netflix called How to Become a Cult Leader. It's narrated by Peter Dinklage. There are a couple of other How to Become series as well. Check them out. Also, my answer is mugger. That cult can fuck over an entire country. There are enough of them. There was this one doc I watched. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but it was about a lady. I had like a sex cult and she had women basically masturbating in front of a crowd. It was unreal to see people be led into some wild shit like that. Christianity, really the Abrahamic religions in general. It's not that they necessarily do more awful things, but that they are so persuasive that billions of people have fallen into this cult. The only difference between religion and cult is good PR. Mugger cult, not a religious cult, but certainly a political one, based on overzealous loyalty to a singular individual in the form of Trump, even at the sacrifice of freedom and liberty, propped up by other Trump loyalists, televangelists and businessmen. Online gang stalking communities, essentially paranoid delusionals reinforcing each other's delusions, seems just about impossible to dig out of because the people, institutions, medications that could help will be rejected as being part of them. That one where when you're having sex you're supposed to always imagine your partner as Jesus to sanctify the act. But if you're male, then you also have to simultaneously imagine yourself as a woman, so you don't catch they're gay or something. All cults are scary, but the spiritual psychedelic cultists be on some next level deceptive shit. If you don't do this, you'll invite demonic entities into a space to some bitch that's already knee-deep in psychosis like, girl, shut the hell up. Political extremists on either side of the aisle, Trumpists and far-left socialists, progressives seem to operate with cult-like behavior, and both groups have expressed condoning violence to get what they want. Probably Christianity. Many sects are okay, I guess, but there are some seriously unhinged ideas propagated by it, and the sheer size and influence it has over everything is truly mind-boggling. The Hasidic cult. Fucking despicable and probably the largest cult in the world. They have a full capture on NY legislation. Look up the status quo laws to understand what I mean. American politics. Red versus blue. Republican versus Democrat. Liberal versus conservative. However you want to label it. People involved in these cults are insane. People's Temple Jonestown and Heaven's Gate. The eerie darkness and influence over the follows loss of lives of these two had always stuck out to me. The 12 tribes. They preach peace and love and all this shit, but they're actually horrifically racist and sexist. Plus, they abuse children. Political cults, all sides are shit. But good ideas are still good. We should band together around good ideas, not political sides. Got to go with Marga on this one because it harms not just the person who falls prey, but everyone else too. The Heaven's Gate cult is one that's particularly disturbing to me due to their tragic mass suicide in 1997. The US Republican Party. And I say that as someone whose thinking does tend more conservatively. I have a lot of friends who are IBLP survivors. Really bad abuse, cover-ups, no accountability. Catholicism. Technically a cult based on the teachers I've received from Pastor James Coates. Jonestown. It was really messed up and tragic. Over 900 people die, including children. Mormon because it gets treated for the most part like your run-of-the-mill Christians. LDS has more money and influence than God, so that also actively defends pedophiles. MAGA hands down they want to force the rest of us to obey using the power of the gov. The one that elected the worst president in the history of the United States. Of the ones I've heard about, probably Jonestown, especially the recordings. The joke answer, Kefka. The serious answer, probably MAGA at this rate. ITT people who don't know the difference between a religion and a cult. Mormonism LDS crazy crap disguised to look like a Christian nuance. MAGA. They're so gullible. They'll believe anything except the truth. Oh my god. I had never heard of the Ant Hill cult and I am feeling sick now. Christianity. Those fanatics will run the world into the ground. Jehovah's Witnesses, Scientology, Christian Science, Mormonism, Blue Oyster Cult. They apparently don't even fear the Reaper. IBLP. It's extraordinarily restrictive. Look up the Duggars. That cult that gassed a bunch of people on a train in Japan. Abrahamic religions including, but not limited to Mormons. Children of God, the Family International. So much CSA. Mild but the Protestantism that practiced purity balls.